Yeah, all right. So, what's going on, guys? This is fitness expert and health coach Nick Maldonado. Today, I want to show you guys how I like to do a mag grip seated row. Okay, so let's get into it. So, whenever we're doing a movement like this, there's a couple of important cues that we want to remember going into the movement. I like to start from the feet up, right? So generally speaking, right, in terms of where our feet should be, the way that I like to do them, I'll place my feet just a little bit lower, right? So I'm on my toes just a little bit, kind of like the middle of my foot, you know what I mean? Now, what I find that helps me do is that actually helps me develop a far more superior hip hinge into the lift, and it naturally cues me up into the hip hinge, right? And we like that. We want to get a little bit more of an extension through our lats, and that hip hinge is going to help us do that, right? So, that brings me to my second point, right? So first is the feet. Second is going to be the hips. You want to hinge a little bit whenever we're pulling through. I don't want a lot of rocking. If anything, I'll kind of want to hinge slightly through the hips, kind of maintain that position, right? So let's go ahead and pick up the bar when we started. So now, whenever I'm doing this movement, I have the bar in my hands, right? With the mag grip, you want to place your palms in a position where you have the most possible leverage. You want to put your thumbs on the very top, kind of like if you're playing with a video game controller or some sort of steering wheel almost, you know what I mean? Now, let's talk a little bit about cues though, right? Some of the most important things you want to remember here whenever we're getting ready to actually execute the movement, right, is where our attention is placed. What is our objective? What are we trying to hit? So we're trying to hit back. We're trying to maximize, all the back muscles used for this movement. That's why we're using the mag grip in the first place. And it's at a neutral grip, which is going to help us hit the upper, middle, and lower parts of our back, right? So, circling back to what I mentioned before about execution, you want to almost envision yourself with two little finger pistols, right? And then your index finger and your pinky finger are going to be the ones pulling through to help keep you in better alignment, right? Now, we talked a little bit about leverage, right? So that's what's going to line us up to get the best position to our elbow. And, whenever we're getting ready to execute the movement, that movement doesn't necessarily start at the bicep, it starts at the elbow, right? So, these fingers, queuing up these fingers to remember which guys we're pulling with, kind of, remembering, all right, finger guns, using my trigger fingers to pull, right? That's gonna naturally put your elbows pretty close to your body. That's where we want our elbows. We want our elbows pretty close to our body, you know what I mean? So I'm gonna show you. Just something like this, you know what I mean? Big chest, right? So where's my feet? Remember, a little bit lower. Hips, hip hinge very slightly, right? Index finger, pinky finger, ready to go. I'm gonna pull through. Now, when I get ready to pull, I'm gonna line my elbows up with my legs as a cue to kind of, keep my arms almost parallel with my legs here to line myself up in the best way possible to get the best contraction, right? So the movement looks almost something like this. Pulling with those fingers, using that hip hinge, and more importantly, bearing down on my core to help me pull through. And that's how you do a seated row with a mag grip.